I have to tell you that last formula that we used, that long formula, I had to work pretty hard to come up with a formula that was that long. At this point now, for the rest of the day, we're going to be using short formulas, I promise. Let's go ahead and collapse the formula bar back to its original size. We have a simple spreadsheet here, product, quantity, revenue, and we want to calculate average price. Now, this is an easy formula. I'm sure everyone could do it. Click in cell D2. Okay, so I want to take a little survey right now. Every time I do one of my Power Excel seminars, I take a survey, and this survey kind of tells me when you started using computers. So we're going to do that survey right now. There's 3 different ways to enter this formula. I want you to take a look at the 3 ways. One way to enter the formula for average price is just to type it. Type equals C2 divided by B2. That's the typing method. The other way to enter this formula is the mouse method. On the keyboard, you hit the equal sign, grab your mouse, click on C2, go back to the keyboard, hit the divide key, and then click on B2. The other method is the keyboard method. Now, this method, if anyone raises their hand for this method, I know that you started using spreadsheets back in the days of Lotus 123. In the keyboard method, I can move the mouse out of the way. I'll never touch the mouse. I type the equal sign, and then I'm going to hit the left arrow key to select cell C2. When I type the operator, in this case the divide, the focus will jump back to D2, and I want to point to B2. So I'll hit the arrow key twice, and without typing any cell references at all, and without using the mouse, I create the exact same formula. So quick survey. If you type most of your formulas, raise your hand. If you're a mouse method person, raise your hand. If you usually use the Lotus arrow keys method, raise your hand. Now, look around. All the people in the other cubes are wondering why you're raising your hand. But anyway, usually it's about split, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I have to tell you, if you're the Lotus arrow key method person, you and I are in the same club. It is so much faster to use the arrow keys than any other method. Now, I know old habits die hard. You're free to use whatever method you want to use to enter these formulas. Grab your mouse or your keyboard and enter the formula equals C2 divided by B2 in cell D2. Next, we want to copy this formula down to all the rows in our current region. Again, you can do that however you'd like. You can use Control-C and Control-V to paste. You can grab the fill handle and drag it down. Or my favorite method, just double-click the fill handle, and Excel will copy the formula down to the right number of rows. Fantastic. Oh, wait, no, it's not fantastic. All of a sudden, we have a couple of error cells. What's up with that? This is the division by 0 error. Excel is saying, mathematically, there is no answer when you divide 0 by 0, so I'm going to give you this big, ugly error. I'm sure that the mathematicians approve of that, however, it's very annoying for us. Now, in previous versions of Excel, we would usually resort to writing if statements in order to solve this problem. I'll hit page down to go to another example of this range. Now, here I've already entered the formula for you, and what we would normally do in Excel 2003 is select the first cell, press F2 to edit the cell, and then wrap that formula in an if function. Type if, the open parenthesis, B31 equals 0, put a comma for then. Now we have to put the value if it's true. We can either put 0, which I realize drives all the math people crazy, or in quotes you can say not valid, or you can just put 2 quotes so you get nothing. And then a comma, this is the value if it's false. If B31 is not 0, then of course we want Excel to do the division for us. I'll type the end key to move out to the end of the formula, type the right parenthesis, and now when I copy this formula down, all my div by 0 errors are corrected. Now certainly you've written a formula like this once or twice. There's 6 new functions in Excel 2007, and one of those functions is the new if error function. We'll hit page down to go to another view of this spreadsheet. Okay, the if error function is a brand new function. Let's press F2 to edit, and I'll show you how the if error function works. After the equal sign, type the word if and then error and an open parenthesis. Now in if error, the very first thing you do is put your calculation, the calculation that's going to work 99.9% of the time. Type the end key to move to the end of the formula, type a comma, and now type the value that you want to appear if there's an error. I'll put 2 quotes and close the function. There are several advantages of if error. First of all, it handles any kind of error you could ever get, whether it's an NA error, a value error, a reference error, a div by 0 error. Second, particularly if you were using VLOOKUPs, there would be times where the formula to handle an error in a VLOOKUP was a big, long monster formula that actually performed the VLOOKUP twice, which is kind of crazy because 99% of the time the VLOOKUP works and Excel could stop there. It's just the 1% of the time where it has to go out and do something else. Well, now, in the if error function, the first thing that Excel does is calculate your formula. If that formula comes out to a number without generating an error, Excel can stop and it doesn't have to go on to the second argument at all. It's only in the rare case where you have a problem that Excel has to do additional processing. I'll choose Control-Enter to accept that formula, double-click to copy it down. Now let's go back up to the top of the spreadsheet with Control-Home. If you're not really worried about the errors, you understand why they're there and it really doesn't matter to you, but you don't want them to print, there is one setting that will help you out. Let's go to the Page Layout tab. We need to look at the whole Page Setup dialog box, so we're going to click the More button in the lower right-hand corner of the Page Setup group. Go to the Sheet tab. There's a setting here on the Sheet tab in the Print group for cell errors as, initially it says displayed, but you can change it to be either blank, a pair of dashes, or number NA. Blank is probably what you want. Click OK. Now when you print this document, even though we see the division by zero errors, they won't print in the final printout. Let's go on to the next worksheet.